Hello, friends. Welcome. Welcome. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I've got more amazing news from Joe Biden on immigration. The Biden administration has rescinded a rule that prevented H-4 visa holders from getting work permits. So if you're married to someone on an H-1B visa, you couldn't get a work permit under Trump. But now, under Biden, you can get a work permit. He's gotten rid of this rule. This is fantastic news. It's fantastic news, my friends. And there's going to be more to come. I'm so optimistic about immigration these days and about what's going on. We have a lot to talk about, and I have a lot of answers to your questions. But first, I just wanted to discuss this new rule regarding H-1B visas and visa holders. Good morning, Amdeep. Good morning, Elizabeth. Tariq, welcome, my friends. Mo, thank you for tuning in. How are you doing this morning, or this evening, or wherever you are? Anyway, can you imagine if you were in the United States and you're married to someone on an H-1B visa and you can't work? You're just stuck there. And a lot of my clients, particularly ones from India and other places in South Asia, to get a green card takes years and years and years and years, 5 years, 10 years. And, if you're married to someone on an H-1B visa, you don't have any options. You have to get a work permit, or else you're going to go crazy and you're going to lose your mind. You're going to suffer all sorts of financial hurdles because you can't work. And now Biden has done away with that. He's done away with that rule, and I'm very, very happy about it. I think it's great news, and it's a sign of more to come. He's only been in office for a little over a week, right? I mean, here we are Thursday. He took the presidency and was inaugurated last Wednesday. We've already had a lot of changes in executive orders. And he's introduced comprehensive immigration reform bill, which I have a lot to say about. And, it's very, very exciting news. I'm extremely optimistic about the changes coming in 2021. It's been a tough year for immigrants and for really everyone, with the coronavirus and the pandemic and the economy tanking. It's been an incredibly challenging year, and I'm hopeful that things will turn around. And I think that with the vaccines hold so much promise for us. And I think that will have a ripple effect into all areas of human life, the economy, immigration, and everything else. Jason, welcome. Jason on Facebook has a great question. He says, hey, Josh, do you think that Biden's full reform bill will go through, or will it be modified a lot? Yeah, I mean, it's challenging to pass a bill like that. I'm no expert on politics. I know a lot about immigration. I know a tremendous amount about certain immigration issues, but the political realities and how that bill passes, would any senators vote for it in its present form from the Republican Party? They have half the votes. They have 50 votes. So it's I don't know. It's my entire career, we've been talking about passing immigration reform. I haven't seen it yet. I'm still crossing my fingers, and I'm hopeful. What else can you be but optimistic and hopeful? Because things have been so bad under Trump that we have to be optimistic. And I know that if you're an H-4 visa holder and you're in the U.S. and you haven't been able to get a work permit, and you're worried about whether you could get a work permit, that is super exciting news. It's super exciting news. What could be better than having a work permit if you're sitting around and you can't do anything? How long could you be out of work before you would lose your mind? We have our friend ours. Thank you for tuning in on YouTube. The bill won't pass. Politicians don't care. They just tell people what they want to hear. We have a cynic. We have a skeptic. We have someone who is doubtful. I think you're probably right. The bill won't pass. I mean, it's probably unlikely to pass. But it's as much aspiration as anything else. So, you know, I think we have to be realistic about what we can do, and we have to present a positive outlook. But you know, I don't know. Brendan, thank you for your message. You're not overly happy. I got it. I will follow up with you as soon as I'm done with this. I'll reach out. We're a small office. We get a lot of calls, and I apologize. If we're working on hiring new staff to help us keep up with all the people who need help from us. So I apologize for that, and I'll give you a shout as soon as I can. What other questions are on your mind this morning? This is a great question from Sambo. Thank you first of all, thank you and everyone else from tuning in on YouTube. YouTube is my favorite channel. I'm creating a whole bunch of new videos with my thoughts on all sorts of answers to legal topics. I'm trying to be super helpful for all of our friends who subscribe, and I would really appreciate it if anyone subscribes. But this is a great question from our friend, Mr. or Mr. So, do you know anything about those who have cases in immigration court? And in fact, I do. So when Biden came into office, he said that he was going to introduce a 100-day moratorium to stop certain types of deportation cases. So if you have an open case in immigration court, there's going to be a moratorium on, they were going to freeze things for 100 days. Well, there was a judge in Texas, conservative judge, who granted an injunction to stop the Biden administration from doing that. And this goes back to political infighting between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans are adamantly opposed to anything that benefits immigrants, and Democrats are pro-immigrants. It didn't used to be this way, by the way, but that's the where we're at. So what will happen in the court system? And this remains to be worked out right now. But if you have an upcoming hearing, anyone who has a hearing, you got to go to the hearing, unless you hear otherwise. If you have a hearing and you don't show up at the hearing, you'll be deported in absentia. So make sure you talk to your lawyer, and if you need help, reach out. But make sure you go to every hearing that you have. Is there anyone in this call today that has an H-4, is in H-4 status? Anybody care to share your experience about what it feels like to get a green light on your work permit? I would love to hear from you. Here we have Tabinda. Thank you so much for tuning in from LinkedIn. My asylum case is pending since 2017. So now we're in 2021. How will the Biden administration help expedite my case? Well, first of all, I'm glad that your case has been delayed, because who would you rather have making a decision on your asylum case? Would you rather have Trump making a decision on your asylum case, or would you rather have Biden? The asylum rules and staffing and everything else are going to be in flux. So I think you should bide your time and wait until things have been sorted out, and go from there. Jason said, I had an H-4 for a long time, and I eventually aged out and moved to Canada for university, and I'm working now. Well, Jason is a perfect example of why we need to change and modernize our immigration laws. Jason, I'm sure you're super smart, super talented person, and you want the ability to live and work and have all the legal and civil rights of everyone else. And if the US laws are too restrictive, you're just going to go to Canada. So if we create horribly restrictive rules that prevent immigrants from having a meaningful work life here, then talented, bright, capable, amazing people like Jason, they're just going to go to Canada. That's what I would do. That's what you would do. People who are really smart and ambitious, they're not going to stick around living in the US without a work permit forever and ever and ever. So I applaud your move, Jason, and I hope that if you want to live in the US, I hope you can find a way back here, and let me know if I can help in any way. But I think that's a smart move. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Snobaljit, thank you. Will Biden revoke family-based immigration ban? The answer is yes. We will. I expect in the next 60 days there'll be big movement, and I'll be here discussing it live as soon as I can. Let's see. Here's a good question from a Facebook user. Thank you. First of all, thank you for tuning in. So I have a question regarding my husband's visa. How long does it take for the embassy to process a visa after submitting 221G request for a joint sponsor? I'm drinking iced tea this morning. My kettle is not here. My wife has it, and she's not here. So I have to go out and get an iced tea. I can't make a cup of tea. I guess I could, being kind of lazy. But to answer your question, so 221G administrative processing is, your question is how long does it take? And the answer is that no one knows. There's no deadline or time frame for administrative processing. Sometimes the consulates will send you an automated message and they'll say, please allow 30 to 60 days, or they'll say, please allow 90 days. And sometimes they'll say, please allow up to 180 days. All of these messages with these time frames, they set people's expectations. But in fact, they don't really do anything. So they may or may not issue your visa, and I hope that they issue the visa right away, but it's very difficult to know when it will end. And that's why I'm able to get cases approved through lawsuits. What I do is I go to court and I file a lawsuit against the agency. I sue them for creating an unreasonable delay. They are sitting on things. And so we fight to challenge the delay and get people's visas approved. That's how I would handle your husband's case. And that's what I think you should do too. I think if you're waiting, you're just wasting your time. Louisa, I'm giving a shout out to Louisa, H-4 status. I love it. I love it. I hope you get your work permit. Sam, an amazing lawyer. Sam is an amazing entrepreneur and business owner. He's my idol. I love this man. He's great. Let's go to Jonas on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in, Jonas. I appreciate you spending your time with us. Thank you, my friend. Will the asylum interview priority be reversed to pre-Trump era? The first apply, first interview. Thanks. That's a good question. As I said earlier, the asylum interview process is all messed up. If you apply for asylum, you're going to wait and wait and wait a number of years. And one of the things that I can do is I can file a lawsuit against the agency to challenge the delay in the processing of an asylum application. I can help you get an interview and a decision. But the question that I have for people that are interested in doing that is, do you really want an interview and a decision? Most people are thinking to themselves, of course I do. I'm going to get approved. I have a great case. But it's very difficult to win asylum. And, like anyone who has a pending asylum case under Trump, my general position is that they should proceed with caution. Now that Biden's in place, he's going to be changing the rules, making them more generous to asylum applicants, getting rid of some of the unreasonable restrictions that Trump put into place. So, Jonas, what I would say is bide your time, give it another 3-6 months, maybe another year. And then once Biden has had a chance to really transform the asylum process and the asylum interviewing standards and so on, then I think it's time to press forward. Here's a question from Momo. Joshua, I have a question for you. If someone with a pending asylum status, let's say you have a pending asylum status and you found an employer willing to sponsor you, is that possible? It might be possible, but it might not be possible. It depends on whether you're in status or not. And most of the time, if you came into the US and you submitted an asylum application, most of the time you're probably not, that wouldn't technically be considered in status. But you really have to look at the details carefully. But thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. We got a lot of good questions. Rimpy, I love Rimpy. I love what a beautiful family she has. Thank you so much for coming in and tuning in. I'm a huge fan of Rimpy. Hope your morning is going amazing. There are so many changes swirling in the winds that it's hard to know exactly what to talk about next. But I'm going to try to go live as often as I can to give you my opinions on things and keep you up to date and try to inspire you with great news and stories about what's going on. I know I started off the week really strong. On Monday and Tuesday, I got 6 delayed visa cases approved. So it was like one after another. My case got approved. My case got approved. My case got approved. So it was really exciting. Can you, we have a person on, one of our friends on YouTube. Can you say something about what's going to happen to anyone in the immigration court system? Can we go into amnesty? Well, we're not in amnesty yet. And as I said, the process of getting, right now, here's where we're at. Biden came out with a rule that said no deportations for certain types of cases for 100 days. And then a court blocked that. So there'll be legal challenges, there'll be litigation, it's going to be ongoing, but there'll be changes coming. There will be. Let's see. Okay, Georgia, what can I do to get approval for a refused visa? Well, we have to dig in a little further to figure out what's going on. I wonder, Georgia, what type of visa did you apply for and where? And I guess the other questions that I would ask are, you know, or one thing to explore, the word refused in the visa context does not mean what a lot of people think it means. For example, if I call up to order a pizza and I say, look, I want mushrooms and double cheese on my pizza, I want a salad and some crazy bread, I order a pizza. And then the pizza place says, I refuse. Well, guess what? You're not going to get your pizza, right? They're not going to make it. They refuse you. But when the consulate uses the word refused, they don't mean denied. It doesn't mean that they absolutely refuse to issue the visa. Refused in the visa delay context means that they temporarily are putting your visa on hold, but they're still reviewing it. So it sounds kind of absurd to think like refused means that you're pending, but that's true. 221G, refused, and administrative processing have very similar meanings. They mean that you went to a visa interview and now your case is under review, but it's delayed. So, you know, I don't think that you're necessarily denied. I think we'd have to look into it. Daniel, thank you for tuning in on YouTube. I'm going to answer your question. I'm just going to take a little iced tea here. All right. So Daniel asked the question that I think is on everyone's mind right now. Are they going to continue processing K-1 visas? What are they going to do? The answer is that right now, the K-1 visa system is kind of broken, right? So many people are stuck at the NVC. So many people are stuck at the USCIS level where they're not getting their I-129Fs approved. People are engaged to get married. This is supposed to be the most exciting time of your life, one of them at least. You finally met someone and you're planning your life and everything's on hold. So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, Biden is going to make changes and things are going to start moving. But the problem is that there's this mountain of old cases, this backlog of old cases. And how are they going to process and work through all these old cases? You don't want to die of old age waiting for your fiance visa to get approved. And that's where a solution that I offer comes in. And what I do is I go to court and I sue USCIS, the Department of Homeland Security, and I sue the consulates. I sue everyone that's involved in the situation. And then we move forward and we challenge the delay. I'm a fighter, okay? I fight visa delays. I don't think you should keep waiting. If you want to keep waiting, you don't need a lawyer or me. You just can keep waiting, but I don't like waiting. Waiting leads to more waiting. That's my opinion. So what's going to happen to the K-1 visas? Hopefully they'll begin to process them. Hopefully they'll competently do their job. But that's what's happening now. Okay, we have Othman. My wife talked to you yesterday. Yes, she did. And I want to thank you and her for reaching out to me. And she says here, I have a question. I don't understand how a consulate can use Section 212A5 labor certificate to refuse a CR1 visa. Okay, there's a lot of jargon in your question, but it's a great question. And I want to explain what's going on in your question, and then I want to answer it. So when you are checking on the status of your case, you go on to CEAC, C-E-A-C. I guess it's called CEAC. And you check for the messages, right? And they come up with these messages, and the messages are totally misleading. Sometimes it'll say that your visa is expired. Sometimes it says that a consular officer has adjudicated your case and refused it, and you think you're denied. That's not true. And sometimes the consulates will also give out messages that are extremely, extremely confusing. And they will give out a message and they will cite a section of the law that has nothing at all to do with your case. Now, my brother here, Othman, he's mentioning how the consulate issued a refusal, and on the worksheet, they wrote down 212A5, labor certification. Okay, a labor certification has to do with the employment-based immigration process at the Department of Labor stage. Okay, so if you go in and you're applying for a green card through marriage, and they give you a refusal that said that it's based on a problem with the labor certification, you look at it and you scratch your head and you think, this is crazy, this is completely wrong. Why would they use a labor certification as the basis for refusing my visa? It's insane. It makes no sense. That's the reaction that Othman and his wife and many others, and also that's the reaction that I have. We all share this reaction when you get these garbage, sloppy decisions from the consulate. It's so difficult. And here's the problem that I have, and I think that you can relate to this, all of you. This is your life. This is getting this visa is what is preventing you from being with your family, from having the job that you deserve, from living the life that you dream about in the United States. And the consulates they do things so incompetently. If they're going to refuse your visa, they should at least explain to you specifically why. What's the issue? What's the problem? And if they cite 212AC, which has to do with labor certification, it's very, very confusing, and it's frustrating, and it's actually kind of insulting. So Martin, you're the best. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. What other questions do you have this morning, my friends? Elizabeth, is there hope in filing an appeal for a denied marriage? Thank you for your question, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending time with me. I'm going to take the time to answer your question. First of all, let me tell you that I'm creating a series of videos for what to do if your case is denied, and how you can take the denial of your visa and you can turn it around and overcome the denial. Now, strictly speaking, when a consulate makes a decision that you don't like, they deny your visa. You cannot appeal that, but there is a process to try to overcome the bad decision. What they do is they send the visa back to USCIS for possible revocation. Eventually, USCIS issues to you a letter, a nasty letter, and we call this a notice of intent to revoke. And in the letter, they say, we are not going to issue the visa to your spouse because we don't think that your marriage relationship is genuine. And they list out all the reasons why they don't think your marriage relationship is genuine. And they give you an opportunity to respond. So you can address their specific concerns. You can add additional proof to show that you have a relationship that's meaningful. And you can challenge the grounds for their possible denial. And you can persuade them to approve a case that's been rejected or denied by the consulate. And this is work that my office does, and we fight hard for people. And you have, everything's on the line when you get a notice of intent to revoke, everything. And you have to fight hard. You have to pour your soul into these things. The responses that we submit are often thousands of pages long, and they have to be produced and prepared under strict time deadlines. So they're not easy to do. Ideas for how to prove your marriage relationship is genuine include write a letter, write a statement, and explain tell them your story. You see, here's the thing. USCIS and the State Department, they don't know you. They don't know your husband or your wife or your fiance. They don't realize what it means to you or how important it is to your life. So you have to tell them everything. And the only way you're going to get a chance to explain your relationship is on paper. So you really need to pour your soul into it, get letters and write statements and make them detailed and show financial ties and prove that you've spent time together and, really go all at it. Don't get discouraged. Don't get down. Just fight hard to get it done. Here we have, I can't say your name, Mr. or Miss Jut. Sir, what about family visa? Family visas are going strong. Family visas are going strong. Hussein, my friend on YouTube, can we apply for a work visa? Well, yeah. I mean, the question is what type of work visa and how do you qualify and who's the employer? There's a lot of questions there, but that's the process of getting a work visa. Really knows. Othman, again, I'm going to go back to Othman, our friend in Tunisia. By the way, I have been to Tunisia. I have been there before. I traveled in Morocco and I had a chance to go to Tunisia, and it was really a beautiful experience. So, but same refusal recently in Tunisia, not just me. 212A5 labor certification. Your case probably has nothing to do with labor certification. But yeah, they probably just are writing those out. It's sloppy. Here's a great question from Periscope. Periscope, what a lovely picture too. What's happening with the public charge? Well, not much yet, but I'll tell you what's going to happen. Public charge is going to go the way of Trump. It'll be completely removed and revised and brought back into more of a reasonable standard. The public charge rule the concept of public charge is a fundamental part of immigration law, but it's not, shouldn't be punitive. It shouldn't be done to punish people. So Zoram asks a great question. Do you think that Venezuelans will get TPS? Venezuelans should get TPS, but they already have a great option that's very similar to TPS. It's called DED, Deferred Enforced Departure. And DED is functionally equivalent to TPS. If you meet the qualifications, you get a work permit, and that's it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing. So yeah, I think the situation in Venezuela is very unfortunate, and we should extend and be generous and protect our friends, our brothers and sisters who are from Venezuela. So yeah, absolutely. Ataka from Morocco needs help with a 212H waiver. Okay, well, I'll talk about that a little bit. First of all, I have a ton of clients from Morocco. We have an office in Boston. There's a huge Moroccan community, and I get along so well with my Moroccan friends and clients. There's a phrase that they use when they hire me. They say, if you hire Josh, Safi, it's done. And I love when they say that. But 212H waiver, what I'm assuming is that there was an old criminal case that you or someone that's involved in your case probably had. And in order to get approved, you need to explain what happened. You need to show that if the visa is not issued, your U.S. citizen, spouse, or parent would suffer extreme hardship. And my office is really good with those cases, and we would love to help you with it. They're a lot of work. To do it right, it's a lot of work. Antonio, hello from Boston. Hope you're staying warm. And our nerve center's in Boston, right at 6 Beacon, across the street from the State House. And I lived in Boston most of my adult life. Love Boston. Hussein says, I sent a text on your Instagram, but you didn't answer. I'm sorry. I'm personally answering all of these messages. I don't have staff that has access to my Instagram, so it's hard for me to get to it. But I'll go back and look, and I apologize for that. Spy Cop, I like that name. Our friend on YouTube. I want to get a student visa. Go for it. Find a school or university. Apply. Would love to help you. What other questions? What else is on your mind, friends? Hope this has been helpful. There's a lot of good information here. I'll be coming live soon, and I want to thank you for tuning in.